Ben.
All right. So we are officially live. Today we have a great episode of the T Podcast. We're talking with Shyra Moran.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
She is the Community Development Officer at Advancial Federal Credit Union, and she is also a fellow Leadership Lafayette classmate.
Lit 36
Lit
in
36.
the building.
And as they always say, since like the 1980s, best class ever.
Best class ever.
And then next year will also be the best class ever, and
yes,
will remain the best class ever. It's weird. I don't know,
there
but yeah. So
all classes are the best class ever, by the way.
Yeah, all of them. So we're talking with Shyra. She is how do you say where you're from?
Geismar.
Geismar,
Louisiana.
Got it. She is a Geismar native.
Yes.
All right. And then we already kind of mentioned what she does. She is a former pre-litigation adjuster at Progressive Insurance. That should be interesting to talk about. And she is also a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority. And she actively contributes to her community by serving on the Lafayette Commission on the Needs of Women and co-chairing Alumni Engagement for the UL Christiana Smith African American Alumni Chapter, and she is also recognized as one of Acadiana's top 20 under 40 young professionals and is currently enrolled in Leadership Lafayette.
Yep.
So we're going to be talking about her and all of that good stuff more after this. All right, so we are sponsored in part by, I say in part, Chase Group Construction. He is our presenting sponsor for the podcast. He is a great guy, great local company. They take the lead and become your one point of contact for the entire design build process. And if you're wondering what design build process means, if you're trying to build a business or renovate a business, they go and help you from start to finish, from drawings to final construction, and you can open your business. Like I said, great company. They have a diverse portfolio of projects that range from medical to popular restaurants and to multi-unit shopping center developments. So their website is chasegroupconstruction.com. You can check them out. And thank you for sponsoring us, Chase. All right, so let me put on my split screen again here. All righty. So how is it going today, Shyra?
It's going. It's Friday. It's a beautiful Friday. Kind of a little crisp fall in the air. A little bit. Not as humid. It's not like deathly hot.
Yeah.
So it's a great Friday. How are you?
Good. It's like I said, it's Friday. Like you said, it's Friday. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about Friday all the time.
Yep.
I get to do a podcast. I get to talk with people that I don't know and have sometimes great conversations and sometimes very awkward conversations.
Well, you know me a little bit, so that makes it a little
Look,
bit
I've known you for at least a little over a year now.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, officially.
Yes.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about you beyond what I've kind of already mentioned. Mm-hmm. Again, Geismar, how did you get from Geismar to Lafayette? What got you to Lafayette?
So what got me here to Lafayette is UL. I went to UL, yes. I went to UL in 2001 and then graduated from the B.I. Moody College of Business in 2005 in business administration. And then after I graduated, I remained here. So
you said you moved here in 2001?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I started at UL in 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I know I look like 30, Ben.
Yeah,
but,
you look so young.
Yes.
Okay. So it's God.
What?
I was gonna say
what?
I was 14.
Okay, Ben.
I'm sorry.
Now we haven't even started
actually,
yet,
no, sorry. I was
coming with it now,
15.
Ben.
I correct myself.
Okay.
I was 15, so I was a little bit older. But yeah, Brent Broussard says, "Hey, Shyra, what's up, Ben? How's it going, Brent?"
Hello, Brent.
All right, so yeah, a little bit more about you. You moved here in 2001 to go to school. Why did you stay here?
Yeah, so I'm from a small town, Geismar, and when when I got here to Lafayette, I just fell in love. I fell in love with the people, the culture. I made, lots of new friends. And so I was just like, okay, I want to just keep experiencing this Lafayette, and got a job with Enterprise Rental Cars, my first job out of college.
Nice.
And within maybe 2 years within working for Enterprise, I purchased my home. And so once I bought my home, I kind of was just here to stay, and I've been here ever since.
All right.
So I guess I can officially say I'm from Lafayette now.
Yeah. I guess you could officially say that, because I guess I could officially say that too, even though I wasn't born here.
Right.
I don't think I'm gonna leave unless things really get turned upside down.
Yeah.
So when you mention culture, obviously we know, and especially in Leadership Lafayette, we've talked a lot about culture, quality of life, all that good stuff for this area. How is it different from Geismar? I mean, Geismar is what, an hour and a half away?
About an hour. It's right outside of, I'm pretty sure everyone knows where Gonzales is, where the Tanker Outlet.
Yep.
So it's literally right there. It's like Lafayette and Broussard, or kind of like that. So,
but I mean, how is it that different? I mean, it's all right. Yeah.
I guess to me, just the diversity of it. I pretty much went to predominantly white institutions.
Okay.
And when I came here to Lafayette, it was just much more diverse, being able to just see, not that I didn't see people that look like me, but just being able to identify more, and also, I guess, being able to understand other cultures and other ethnicities that were here. Lafayette has a lot of different things happening here.
Yeah,
it's like
do.
a melting pot, which is great. That's one of the reasons why I love it. So just embracing all of that was here in Lafayette. That was what I fell in love with.
Yeah. So you're saying Geismar was a bunch of white people?
No, Ben. Now don't start, Ben. Do not start. That is not what I said. That is not what I said at all.
Right.
I just said that Lafayette is a little bit more diverse. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Look, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it real.
Keep it real. You always keep it real. You don't have that problem.
I try. So it's funny though. Whenever we're in Leadership Lafayette, and the conversations come up about this area and just how do we improve it, the quality of life for Lafayette specifically in Acadiana. Sometimes the discussions got a little interesting because, for lack of better words, some people feel like this area is still set back.
And it is.
In a way. Mm-hmm. But it's funny that you mentioned that Lafayette is more diverse. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to see that perspective of where you're originally from coming here. Because, I'll tell you, I came from a little town called Turkey Creek. Mm-hmm. It's not even a town. It's technically a village.
Okay.
We didn't have huts or anything like that.
Okay.
But it was like, huh?
I said, or did you live in a hut?
No, I did not live in a hut.
Okay.
Yeah, see, you're starting to mess now. All right. Okay. Oh, Brent was like, being messy already. No, I'm not trying to be. So, being from Turkey Creek, I'll tell you right now, Turkey Creek was 99% white people. Mm-hmm. There was one black family that lived there. Okay. And, in my perspective, they were some of the hardest working people amongst all the other unworking white people. Okay. I was like, okay. You got this family right here. Like they got huge property. They have this, not necessarily a farm, but like they were building a workshop. And I'm like, okay, what do they do? Like, why are they here? And it was just, as a kid, I was just like, why don't we have more diversity here? And that goes, a long way. People in the country that they have their own little pockets, and that's how kind of people are. But whenever I started getting old enough to drive and leave Turkey Creek and go visit friends that I made on the internet through forums and stuff like that, this is before social media. Okay. I think Facebook was just starting to come around, and I think it was still an education online, like had to have an education email. So I would come to Lafayette and I would just be, overwhelmed with all the different types of people.
Yes.
I mean, Indian people, black people, white people. Of course, I've seen plenty of black people. I went to a school that was 50-50 black and white. But
y'all had one black family in your time?
In Turkey Creek.
Oh, okay.
Now, Bayou Chico, St. Landry area, more mixed.
Okay.
I don't understand that.
Okay.
I don't do the history of Turkey Creek because it's messy. But yeah, so coming to Lafayette, it was just so much different, and there were a lot more people that I have never been around that I enjoyed. I was like, whenever I first heard about the, I think it's the Holly Festival.
Yeah.
In Girard Park, I was like, this is so different.
Yes.
Like Turkey Creek would never.
Right.
It was just weird, but so I like talking about where people come from and their perspective and why they landed in Lafayette and what kept them here. It's but if you had to pick anywhere in the country to live, if let's say you had your pick of the litter of cities that you liked, because there are probably cities that you like to visit.
Yes.
If you could live anywhere, where would that be?
I'd probably have to say LA. I just got back from LA. Yeah, I just got back from LA at the beginning of August. And it's just beautiful. It was like the air was crisp, clean, just able to walk to brunch, and just I really truly fell in love with the city.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever move out of Lafayette?
Possibly. I mean, I would say if I did, it'd probably be within the next maybe 10-ish years.
Yeah.
But no time, like not right this moment.
Right. Yeah.
Unless, like you said at the start, unless something like earth-shattering turns Lafayette upside down. So.
Well, hopefully we're on a track that Lafayette is on the improvement side.
Yeah.
So tell me about your former job of Pre-Litigation Adjuster at Progressive Insurance.
Yeah.
That sounds like an interesting title.
It's very interesting.
Litigation just screams like, okay, what is going on?
Right. So basically, I dealt with a lot of mostly plaintiff attorneys that were assisting their clients that were involved in motor vehicle accidents.
You ever dealt with Gordon?
Ben, I am not. We are not. We are not. I've dealt with several.
Did he get it done?
I can't. I have dealt with lots of Louisiana-based attorneys. I will say that, and I will leave it right there.
All right. Yeah, I can't be privileged for the further information, I guess.
Yeah, I will leave it. I've dealt with several attorneys in Louisiana that have commercials. I'll say that. I can give you that.
Awesome.
I'll give you that. No one person in particular, though.
Got it. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to dig too deep into that. I'll leave it at that. Yeah. I was going to ask other questions and really dig, but I'll leave it. Because
what?
Because I'm just curious, like, how hard do some of these people go? Like, because their commercials make it sound like they're going to go to bat, like, hard for you, and like what really goes on? It's just a very, very curiosity-piquing situation,
right.
But obviously that's a former job.
It is,
and I'm pretty sure you have NDAs and all that good stuff.
I do.
So, Yep, I figured. Okay, so your current position.
Let's talk about current.
Let's talk about
the past in the past, and let's talk about the things of now.
All right.
Because the things of now are what matter most.
Yeah. Obviously, you left that position, and so now you're the Community Development Officer, Advancial Federal Credit Union. What does Community Development Officer mean?
Well, I am about 3 weeks in, so I'm still figuring out what Community Development Officer means. But what I can say is what drove me to the position. Of course, shout out to Lacey Maynard. She is who I kind of connected with before my move to Advancial. Advancial is a sponsor for us for Leadership Lafayette.
Yep.
And also, as a 20 under 40 honoree, they were a sponsor for that. I actually met Lacey at the 20 under 40 meet and greet. And she was telling me about this particular role that was about to come about. And just in talking with her, I was kind of in a position where I knew it was time for me to pivot in my career. As you kind of read a little bit of my bio at the start, community is what I love. I just love being a resource for people, connecting people, giving them what they need to help build them to the next. And so Lacey was just telling me about this job that was going to be coming about. And fast forward, here I am. We basically at Advancial do, a financial literacy piece to help build our underserved community. Lafayette is considered underserved. So yeah, that's what kind of brought me to Advancial.
Okay. So I had Lacey and Paul Selfo on a couple episodes ago. Well,
with Second Harvest.
Yep, and the audio on that episode did not work out.
Okay.
And it was probably partially my fault for not checking the audio levels on the iPad, because I have two separate audio levels I have to look at. And one of the things that we talked about, there were a lot of stuff, mainly about, people being hungry and the food insecurity. And a lot of that was because Advancial has a swipe and support event that they do every year. And I think they started it in 2020.
This is our third year.
Yep. So, and it's a really cool initiative where Advancial takes a percentage cut off of all the credit card swipes that are Advancial credit cards, and they don't charge that to the Advancial members.
Correct.
They take that cut just for every swipe. They take that, they absorb it and put that percentage of money into a set nonprofit or charity that they pick for that year.
Yes, community partner.
Yeah. So tell us, obviously I helped you out a little bit there, but tell us a little bit more about it and what it means, or what do you think it means for the community?
I mean, you pretty much gave the spiel, but no, as far as what it means is it's definitely, yesterday we had our second campaign on site where Second Harvest bought the mobile market out, and employees and members were able to go out and shop the mobile market. Second Harvest is also on site with just food nutrition ideas, and it was just great to see our members engaged, our employees engaged. So many members were just so thankful, that they were able to come and buy all these fresh produce items and also support the campaign for Advancial. That is what warmed my heart. That's what keeps you kind of going in the game. It's just to see the impact that it's making on the community, and having members and employees even learn more about the mobile market that Second Harvest offers, getting a schedule for where they, park the market throughout the month in these food insecure areas. It was just heartwarming and touching, and just to know that Advancial truly cares about the community. You don't find many employers that truly, everyone has their charge to give back and everything, and I'm not knocking, any other company, but it's just nice when you actually see boots on the ground doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I think brings community together.
Well, the mobile market is an interesting one, because for Leadership Lafayette on the community day, I think Paul and someone else with the organization came and spoke.
Yes.
And it was really cool to hear about the mobile market and what they do there, and to learn. And obviously I learned a little bit more with our last episode that no one could listen to.
Well, that just means you have to have them back on.
Yes, I'm going to have them back on, and that's why I'm kind of helping make up with this part of this. The mobile market, like you said, they bring it to underserved areas. And what's really cool is that it's not restrictive to anybody. You don't get a credit check. You don't get your bank statements. You don't have to show any proof of income or what have you. If you
can just go shop.
Yeah.
Wherever they pull up, you can go shop.
And if you need discounted groceries, because they buy it at a certain rate and they sell it for cheaper, they actually
use
lose.
Local farmers for their fresh produce
that's
as well.
Cool. I see. I did not know that.
Yeah, she was telling us about the surplus of okra that they have right now. So, they had all kinds of good things on that mobile market yesterday. I bought a bag full of groceries, and it was like $8. So you can definitely get your money.
That would be like $50 at Walmart.
Right. And get your, and support your community at the same time. So they had things like eggs. What else did he have in the cooler? He had, grapes. And then just your basic produce, bananas, oranges.
Did they have any meat or anything like that?
No meat. They don't do, it's mainly like produce and some dairy, but definitely like the fresh produce for sure. Things that they can keep on the truck, because they have a few refrigerators on there, but not a lot to store any type of meat or anything. And in these temperatures, I don't think they want a chance. Any type of meat on the market.
What Paul was saying is that they try to make sure that it at least has enough to make a meal or a part of a meal.
Yes, and they do.
Yeah,
they do.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. And I love that they pair the food nutrition. So it's like you buy your groceries, and then they should have brought it. They had a little recipe book with a recipe you could make with items that they had on the mobile market. So that was kind of cool, if you're unsure of, well, okay, what can I do with this head of broccoli? there's a recipe, other than just letting it go to waste or not even wanting to purchase the broccoli.
Right.
The education piece is what I loved about it as well.
That's awesome. Well, I got a couple of sponsors that I need to mention.
Yeah. Pay the bills, Ben.
Yeah, got to pay the bills. So our next sponsor is Music Academy of Acadiana. They are Acadiana's top choice for music lessons. Basically, if you want to learn music, either you or if you have a child, a grandchild, or a cousin, niece, nephew, what have you, maybe you have an adopted kid and they are interested in music. Music Academy of Acadiana is a great choice. They teach piano, guitar, drums, violin, saxophone, flute. If you want to improve your voice, if you want to learn audio production, their experienced instructors cater to students of all ages and styles, so it doesn't matter how old, how young, how educated or not educated you are in music. Their graduates have even excelled in college and major music competitions. They've even made it on popular TV shows like American Idol and The Voice, which is really cool. American Idol's like old though, so I don't know if that's still relevant, but I know The Voice is still a thing that I've been hearing about. They're founded by UL Lafayette Music School graduate Tim Benson, and he's also part of a emo cover band called The Criers. So if you're a big fan of the emo scene from the early 2000s, they have a whole band dedicated to just that. And they've won national recognition and are consistently voted as a top music school since 2016. Their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, and to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. Their website, musicacademyacadiana.com. Check them out, and we appreciate them. And then we got Electronic Protection Systems, or AKA EPS. They are a 20-year-old company. I say 20-year-old. They're over 20 years old. They've been here for a while, and they're expanding to Houston. What they do is smart home security systems and also whole home water conditioning systems. Basically, I bought a new house last year. Didn't want to use my my security system that I had prior to moving, and it was a company that was a nationwide company, and I wanted something that was a little bit more affordable. So I didn't move over my services, and sure enough, a few days later, randomly, a tech with EPS drives up, and it's like, "Hey, you're new in town." Even though I'm not, I just new to this neighborhood. And he was like, "Hey, could you use some security systems?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have one already that I was planning on moving over." But he was like, "Well, we're cheaper. We're also local." I'm like, "You're already speaking my language already."
Cheaper and local. Okay.
He provides some information, and sure enough, that night we signed a
contract.
I don't know if it was a contract. We didn't sign contract because there's no long-term contracts.
Oh, okay.
So that's a good one.
So
we signed a
promissory note.
No. Basically, the equipment. I have to pay for the equipment, so I had to sign like a credit thing to apply to get the financing for that. But other than that, their prices are really cheap as far as like low monthly payments, no out-of-pocket expenses. So like right then and there, you can get a security system with no out-of-pocket expenses. They have 24/7 monitoring, and also their water systems, really cool. We also got their water system because they came back and checked on us, and they're like, "Hey, we also do water systems." And I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "Is your water good?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, we do free water testing." They came and did a free water test. It blew my mind. Guess what? I got the system.
All right.
And my water tastes better, smells better. My ice looks better. It's like clear ice.
Crystal clear?
Pretty darn crystal clear.
Okay.
And whenever I take a shower, the water is real buttery and smooth. So really cool. Check them out. I talk too much on them, but they are a sponsor of mine, so they pay my bills.
Pay the bills.
And their website is eps-online.com. And you can also go to this link right here on your screen, link.developinglafayette.com/EPS. If you use that link, we will make some extra money because everybody loves extra money.
Use the link then, y'all.
All right. So now let's get into a little bit more of Leadership Lafayette.
Yep.
Why did you feel led to apply for Leadership Lafayette? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, so kind of, as I said at the start, coming to Lafayette, just enjoying the diversity of all that Lafayette brings. I believe that diversity brings fresh perspective. And, we talk about everyone wants a seat at the table. Well, in order to have diversity at the table, the diversity has to show up. Like, you have to be at the table to bring it. And so I feel and still feel that, my diverse perspective and just wanting to also hear from people like you, Peyton, Nicole Jones, just in our entire class, I feel everybody brings something different. I just wanted to just embrace that and be a part of that. And so that's why I applied. And here we are. Yeah.
What's really cool and about Leadership Lafayette as a whole is last year, my business partner was like, hey, I'm going to nominate you to apply. And I was scared to death because I was like, I've heard about it.
Right.
But I was under the impression that it was this elite type of thing where only like the top of the top people of Lafayette are doing this because that's
and that's who you saw in the class too, when you really looked at the makeup.
Yeah, since 1987, as long as they've been doing this, everybody that's been in this class has, in one way or another, shaped Lafayette in a way that makes Lafayette what it is. And I'm like, I'm not that person. Like, am I?
You are. I mean, you have an entire podcast called Developing Lafayette. So, plug for you. You are shaping Lafayette, whether you want to or not. You are.
I don't like promoting myself in that way. It's weird.
Same. Guilty.
I'm my worst critic. Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough, and I need to do more. And then I see other people who I admire in the community like kicking butt, and I'm like, I'm not doing enough.
Right.
And then by chance, I meet these people, and they're telling me how much I'm doing.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, you're doing a lot. And so it's interesting that we're all doing a lot, but we're also admiring other people's lots of work. It's weird.
Yes.
It's
strange. I am going to shout out my bestie because I know she's listening, and I'm going to try not to cry. Her name is Hope Ryan, and I'm going to tell you what she told me. You are a beacon. Oh. You are a beacon of light. Even though I give you a hard time about being messy, because you are a little messy, Ben.
Well, she told me to move on whenever we were talking about the litigation.
Well, she is always going to have my back. But you are a beacon in the community, and it has just been a joy to meet you. And I think we kind of meshed the first day at retreat because you were on my left-hand side. But you are doing exactly what you need to do in the community, and don't ever change that. Well, don't be as messy, but I know sometimes you have to. But
look, people are messy in the community.
This is true,
and sometimes
but that doesn't mean you have to reflect that, Ben.
You know what? I try my best to not be.
You're getting better. You're getting better, Ben.
But you know what? Some people, the energy just has to be matched to put them in the place.
Well, we don't match energy. We elevate above that energy.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Lifting people up.
There you go.
Well, okay. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome, my friend.
And Hope, and she is commenting. She told me to move on from the litigation. And after I saw that, I'm like, okay, it's serious. I'll move on.
Keep it moving.
But yeah, so the people in leadership have really impressed me. Some of the things that these people are doing, it's really interesting. Regardless of what political spectrum you are on, or where your beliefs are, whether you're conservative or liberal, and whether you agree with the people that you are in the class with, their stories and their experiences are unique and really make Lafayette what it is. And you almost feel like while you're in that class, like you're a part, not necessarily a part of them, but like you're a part of their circle, even though you are completely different than some of these people.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
And it's really neat to be at the same table, especially you mentioned Peyton. Peyton.
That's who I was going to actually, Peyton is killing it.
Yeah.
And she is not someone, if I hadn't done leadership, that I probably would not have encountered, just being honest.
Yeah.
But I just admire her so much in her transparency, in her advocacy, and just she's a total baddie. I don't know how else, I don't know anybody else that can rock red bottoms and walk the state capitol like Peyton.
I know, I know.
That just for that alone, but she is doing great work, and it's definitely being seen within our community and in the state level. She just got an honor, and somebody put it in Slack. I think Brandy put that in Slack yesterday. So
wild. And on political day, it was interesting because while we were all doing our class stuff, she was working, and down there in the trenches of the committee rooms.
Right, in the ghetto, as she called it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
The ghetto of the Capitol. Yeah, where all the dirt gets slung. It was really cool to sit inside of some of these, I don't think they're the chambers. It's below the chambers. So it's like these rooms that are just below the main part of the Capitol.
Rooms, I guess.
Yeah, committee rooms where all the hearings happen. It was really cool to be a part of that and to see voices that I agreed and disagreed with. Not necessarily going at it, but there were times where it got heated in some of these rooms. And what people don't realize, and I was talking with somebody earlier, is the Capitol, especially in Louisiana, is such an open process. But I always thought that during the week, you're not allowed to go. Like, I know, like, on the weekends, whenever you have little school field trips, and you go to see all the stuff, the quote-unquote pencil stuck in the ceiling, and you get to walk on the stairs, you get to go to the top and look out over Baton Rouge. I thought that was it for people, like
Never
average
thinking
people.
You could go to see how a law is made or brought to...
and actually be a part of the decision. Like, you can sign a little red card or a green card, or I think there's even a white card, and like show your favor or opposition of whatever bill is in place. And to know that that is just something easily accessible, I would have never known that had it not been for Leadership Lafayette.
100% agreed.
And I'm pretty sure Katrina's like, yes, this is cool.
We're plugging LI, and we can also say applications are now open. So if you have thought about it, like Ben and I have said, it's not for the elite of Lafayette. It's for anybody that wants to be a change maker in their community, and this is where you go to do it. So go apply on maybe you could put the website up later or whatever.
I'm going to look up the website right now.
And go apply. You'll be class 37, but, we'll still love you.
Yeah, so I'm going to pull up the website right now and try to get that shown for you. So if you want to take advantage of an opportunity that only, I think every year is maybe 30, 35?
Yeah, I think so.
In that
Around
range?
That,
Yeah. So I'm going to pull up the screen here. Let me just, there we go. So here's the screen. This is the website for Leadership Lafayette, or Leadership Institute of Acadiana, which is also the parent organization of Leadership Lafayette. So if you're here, you can kind of get a little bit more of an understanding of what Leadership Lafayette is, and then there should be a way to apply. It says interested in Leadership Lafayette. So if you click interested, you should get to the apply section. There's an interest form. How do you apply, Katrina?
Well, there should be a link for the application. Maybe you could put it up later.
Yeah. So
I think there's a link on there.
All right. So there's definitely some information there. I don't know. It says notify me.
Oh.
So maybe it hasn't been updated yet.
There's a link for sure.
Well, I'm going to find the link.
LIA, so we'll get y'all the link.
Well, Katrina, she's the only one doing everything.
Well, she's in Rome right now, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So let me go ahead and put it back on our split screen here. But I'm going to put the link in the comments for those that are interested in Leadership Lafayette so that you.
Yes.
What am I doing, bruh? Okay. So Leadership Lafayette, we talked about that and all the good things that come with that. And it's funny, we're wrapping up. Like our applications are being taken for next year. Mm-hmm. We're wrapping up.
We have one more class.
It's wild. And then we have a graduation coming up in November. Mm-hmm. It kind of made me look at it. I was like, am I going to graduate? Like, did I do enough?
You did enough, friend. I think we
all done enough.
You've done your part, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I showed up.
You spoke up.
Yeah, there's a few times.
That's what matters too. You can be at the table, but are you utilizing your space at the table? I'm a big believer in being at the table, but speaking up while you're at the table. Yeah. That's where you make the most impact, and that's where change can definitely happen, when we're all speaking and listening to each other to try to come to a common ground on how we're going to move the needle on whatever the matter is. It makes me think about our very first day. I think it was at retreat. Dude,
that day was wild.
Day, when you think about that day to now, it's like, okay, like that was in February?
Yep.
And then now you can say October. But I feel like we've all grown, like I got a new job through leadership. Several people have gotten.
Wait, so you got your position now because of leadership?
Part of it.
Wow,
yeah.
That's amazing.
That was something that I used in my interview.
Because I know Advancial had spoke. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're Lacey's and Advancial is very involved in the leadership. In LIA, but just using the things that I've learned in leadership. That's why I say it helped me in my interview with Advancial for sure.
Nice.
So, and several people in our, there's one I won't say because I don't know if she's made it public, but she has a very, very well-known job that'll be here. And no, Ben, your messy self cannot know right now. But you'll probably have her on, and her supervisor or the person she will report to came to one of our leadership classes.
All right. Well, we've had a lot of people show up at these leadership classes. So now I'm like, all like 100-something people. Like, who is
I'll tell you when we get off the air, but I'm not going to say it on air because I don't know if she's made it public.
Word. Mm-hmm. All right. So you mentioned Retreat Day.
Yes.
Retreat Day was a 2-day event. Before I go there, we have a couple of comments. Brent Broussard said Peyton is the GOAT.
And she is.
And then Lacey Maynard says there's a link on the homepage, and Lacey put the link to
thank you, Lacey.
leadacadiana.org. Appreciate that, Lacey. And then Hope, you said Ryan?
Hope Ryan, uh-huh.
Yep. Hope says there was a link that said apply for class 37 at the top. I missed that link.
Now, come on, Ben.
Look, I'm trying to have
you need to get you an engineer because you trying to run the camera, the microphone, the whatever this is. We're going to petition for Ben, an engineer, so he can just talk.
Okay. Well, look, that'd be great. But I do see the apply for class 37. It was on the navigation, and it was stacked underneath, so it was easy for me to miss. There should be like a huge button on the thing. Anyway.
We're going to give you a little grace this
All right,
Friday.
A little grace. But what was your favorite part of Leadership Lafayette? Like if there's like a moment or if there's a day, what do you have anything that you can recall that was like a good day for you?
Honestly, all of it has been good, and I truly mean that. But I guess the part, I wouldn't even say a specific day. I guess kind of for me, it was like a moment of, it made me realize, like, okay, you do have more to learn about others. Because being a Black woman, a lot of times you do have to show up and you are the educator in the room.
Yeah.
You are there to let them know about, some things that may have been lost in communication. So I have to take that on lots of times in rooms like Leadership Lafayette. But it was a moment with Peyton when, she expressed just about how she really didn't think she was going to fit in leadership, how she didn't think she would have an advocate in our class, and just sharing her journey with me as being a trans woman. And that, because I like to think I'm pretty, diverse, and I look at things from a different perspective, but like the things that she was sharing with me, I never thought about that from her perspective. And it literally blew my mind. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, how can I help? Because I never thought of it that way. And so she was just so appreciative of just even the want to advocate, not even advocate, but just befriend her at the beginning, because she didn't even think that she would get that from our class. So
that is wild. Like, to think.
Well, I guess too, from her side, you have to think about the things she's encountered in her life, the people she has encountered that may not have been so friendly to her just because of looking at her from the beginning. But I wasn't raised like that. We are gonna see a person from the inside first, and then go from there. But just the stuff that she shared with me on the first, I think it was the second day though, that really made me feel like, okay, like I really need to like be a listener in the room.
You had it caused you to check yourself a little bit.
It did. Yeah. It truly did. And I tell her that all the time. Like, I mean, she truly is a baddie. Like, she's doing it. And in her red bottoms, but she's doing it.
And the little, is it the red clutch too?
Yes, don't forget that. You're right, Ben. We gotta plug the clutch.
It's like a signature.
It is.
Yeah.
It was funny because when we had the forum at KOK, she showed up just regular, and Alicia said, "Oh, Peyton, you're out of uniform." And it was just because she was out of uniform. That's not how she normally shows up. So shout out to Peyton.
Yeah. One of my memorable moments, and I think this, I don't know if this is cliche, but for me, it was probably the most draining day for me.
Oh, I think I know what you're about to say.
It was the initial retreat.
The questions part.
Like, where we all, as a whole group of 34, 35 people, I think it was 34, were in a room, and the room was set up with, agree, disagree, somewhat agree, the whole thing with the spectrum of whether you agree or disagree. And some of the questions were very easy and just kind of like, okay, this is where I'm at, and I'm going to stay here, and this is why. But some of the other questions were very thought-provoking, and
eye-opening.
But they were only thought-provoking
if you
after about 5 minutes of conversation, and then
when you heard someone else's perspective.
There you
go. And I can definitely think of the question for me when it was asked if you feel comfortable in your community.
Do you feel accepted? Yes, that was the one that I remember the most.
That is the one yes. That is the one.
And now, you know what? I want to say that we probably lingered on that one topic.
I think she shut it down after that one, because I think it was just...
It was maybe an hour, 30 minutes to an hour long of people.
I knew that question was exhausting when people started to sit down.
Oh, we had to sit down. Yeah.
Right. And it was, we won't spoil it for the listeners, but it was definitely eye-opening to hear other people's perspective. And I just remember Alicia and I being very, what's the word I want to, very sure of our opinion, because it was kind of almost like I felt like Alicia and I were being challenged in our response, and a lot of times you have to watch that, because I don't feel you should challenge someone's perspective of how they feel in a moment.
Yeah.
That is how you feel in something, so you cannot challenge that. You may want to know more about it, and you should, especially in that type of setting, but that was definitely a moment where I was like, okay, like, are we going to have to do this every time? Because this is going to be very exhausting.
Yeah. That was an interesting one, because I think initially a lot of us went to the I think it was a strongly agree side, that do we feel accepted in our community? And what's interesting is I think Blake, short and fat guy, that's his brand.
That is his brand.
That's his brand, short and fat. Look it up. He made it a point, and I didn't even look at that. I didn't even consider that because I was listening to the perspectives of the disagree or the somewhat disagree side, and he stated, everybody that is on the strongly agree side, raise your hand if you are originally from the Lafayette area, and a majority of the people in that group. We raised our hand because I think I was in that group, and we raised our hand because we were not from this area, the majority, and we felt like Lafayette is an accepting community because of just what our circle that we're in has done. It's like we felt accepted, whether you're white or black, because there was not just white people in that group. There was there were a few black people, but
a few.
A larger majority of the minority were in the
majority of the minority.
Yeah, were in the disagree side,
yes,
and when I heard that question, I knew that that's how things would shift. But I was ready to hear what was happening.
Were you?
I thought I was ready. Look, I was ready. I was ready for the initial part of like, no, I don't feel accepted. But the why.
There you go.
Was the exhausting part, and.
Exhausting, or were you just not prepared to hear what you heard?
Exhausting does sound dismissive.
It does. So that's why I want you to clarify.
Yes. There was a lot to take in.
There you go.
The absorption of information,
I'll give you that,
to understand other people's perspectives, like you said, was tiring in the sense that it was a lot to take in.
In that moment, it was.
A lot to calculate.
I will agree with you on that.
But I think after that, it almost was a bonding moment for a lot of people.
Yes.
Because we actually got to see the differences and our community, even though it is an accepting community, we do have this warm culture of like, hey, how you doing when you're passing someone you don't know on the street. But there's this underside, and somebody said something, and it was so pointed, and I'm trying to remember exactly, but it was this basically to explain it in a lame way was Lafayette has this, I don't want to say fake, but this initial layer of acceptance, like we welcome everybody. Hey, how you doing? How's your mom and them?
Yep.
But are you invited to their kitchen?
Correct.
You're probably not invited to their kitchen.
Right.
Like, we don't know you
may
that
be invited to clean the kitchen.
Well.
But not to their table.
Yes. Which was an interesting thing because I'm like, and the way they worded it was such a powerful way to word it. But
I know what moment you're talking about, for sure.
But basically just this layer of fake acceptance. And for a lot of people, it's not fake, but there's a large amount of people in the community that put on the persona that it's a warm, welcoming community, even though it is, but they are trying to personify that when they're really not. And it was a wild thing to hear. I was like, I never really thought that deep into how I felt.
And in all honesty, you never had to.
Yeah.
You've never had to. You've probably never walked in a room and questioned if someone else would look like you in that room. It's just automatic. You're a white man. So you walk in a room and you walk in. You don't have to think 30, 40 times, okay, like, is there going to be somebody else that looks like me? Or am I going to be the only black? Like, is this safe? Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it was definitely an eye-opening experience for those that wanted to receive it. Because I don't think everyone received it in that moment. And that's okay. But I do think, like you said, people like you, and from what you're saying now, it was received and just, it caused you to start to think like, man, have I unintentionally done this sometimes? Just because that's what you're accustomed to doing. So I think it made you think, and I think that's what Katrina was going for.
Oh yeah, that was
sure.
definitely. I don't know if you've ever seen these YouTube videos. One of the channels is called Jubilee, I believe. There's Vice, Jubilee, and some others, and they do some very similar thought-provoking exercises where they put people in a room of varying different demographics and belief systems, and these belief systems are not strictly designed for one person. So, one of them has. I know this is a tangent. I'm gonna wrap it up soon. But one of the most recent ones was gay conservatives and straight liberals. Okay. Or no, it was gay conservatives and gay liberals in a room talking about their perspectives. And even that moment, there was tension. And even though they're all gay, the differences of people, and there was varying different age groups in there. There was white, black, and on both sides of the aisle. And it was just like to hear one person's perspective on the conservative gay side versus the liberal gay side. They got heated, and those videos remind me of what we went through
that day.
And that's for me. And like I mentioned, it was the most memorable day because it was the initial day of learning about the people that I'm going to be surrounded by for the next portion of a year.
Right.
But
I think too, it's going to go beyond graduation day.
Oh yeah.
Definitely connections have been made. Hopefully you'll have us back on the podcast. We'll talk more Advancial stuff and just community work that we're doing at Advancial. But it's definitely a great resource to connect with people and go past the graduation day and just even make changes in our community together. I think like on the day where we were talking about food deserts, you know, I think that was an eye-opening day as well. And just how our class can even come together collectively to do something in our community, for our community, kind of powered by our class. So I'm excited to see where we go after graduation.
It's going to be interesting to see where we go because that's what I was saying. I was like, we're getting close to graduation. This ain't it. No. This ain't it. But like, where do we go from here? Like, how do we maintain that bond that we've created in this class? And, where do we go from there? And how do we push forward and be the leaders that we signed up to be, essentially?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I definitely think, we're doing it where we kind of already have our uniqueness that we bring, but then we just kind of come together and, okay, you were brought to tears about the food desert. I was brought to tears. What can we do? Okay, is it even something that's so simple as partnering with Second Harvest? That there are things that are already there in the community, but just kind of elevating them and making sure the awareness piece is there. Because I think that's a lot of the part, or a lot of it, that's the awareness is missing in the community on where to go for certain resources.
I know there's a lot of resources here that we just don't know about.
Exactly.
And there was, what was it? Is it 232 Help?
232 Help. Mm-hmm.
That was cool to learn about.
Yeah, when Pierre came. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to learn about all the demographics people. Yeah, to learn about all the stuff that we can use that number for and the services that they help you connect to. It was really cool. So I didn't mean this to be a commercial for Leadership Lafayette.
I think Katrina and all of the gang will appreciate that.
But this is our shared experience at the moment,
for sure.
And I knew that we would be able to have a good conversation about that. And so I'm plugging Leadership Lafayette because it's a great moment in time for somebody who wants to improve themselves and hopefully improve the community that they're in.
And learn more about other things within the community that you may not be. Even if you're from Lafayette, that doesn't mean, you're not a good candidate for being in the program. Yeah. It's still so much to learn, I'm sure, even for those that are lived here all of their life. I mean, Brent has lived here most of his life, and he's still learning stuff about Lafayette.
I'd be curious to know if older classes, if they took Leadership Lafayette today, what they would learn all
That's
over.
That's true, because it has evolved.
Think about Class 1, 1987.
Yeah.
Think about 1995. Like all
Right.
this. Each decade has such different challenges, especially the decade that we're in right now.
Right.
With the trans community and all the different things happening with that. That's another layer that a lot of people in the early 2000s, 90s, and 80s and beyond just would have never thought in a million years that they'd have to like process and try to understand. Very, very, very interesting stuff to even think about that we're dealing with in our own community. Yeah,
for sure.
Well, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about? Obviously, there's a ton of stuff that you're a part of. But yeah, we mentioned that you're a top 20 under 40 young professional. You have other things. So is there anything that you want to talk about real quick before we wrap up?
Nothing in particular. I just want to, of course, thank you for having me on. This was fun. You did good, Ben. Before we got on air, you kept to your word. But I'm just excited to see where, everything goes for me with Advancial and just what I can bring to the table with them and the community work that I'm going to continue doing. And now I have 33 other people that I can call upon to help me, with that charge. So I'm just excited to see what's next for me in 2024 as we get ready to close out this year.
Oh my God. It's already almost 2024.
Yes.
Wow.
That's wild.
Yeah. The connections we've made. Obviously, you're sitting right here because we made a connection in Leadership Lafayette. And this whole year, I've been actively trying to get people from the class here because it's just connections that I just made, and there are other deeper connections beyond just us that we can connect other people to. So I think it's an interesting thing to be a part of, and I appreciate you coming here to talk.
Thank you.
I'm glad I didn't get too messy.
Leave that for you. Got 2 or 3 more weeks for leave that for your politicians that come on.
God, dude.
The
only other politician I think that I have left to get on, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it because I was told that he's chock full and booked, is Josh Guillory. I emailed him several weeks ago, never got a response.
Okay.
And then I met him in person. I met him in person several times already, but I met him last week or two, I think it was last week, at a press conference.
Okay.
And he came up to me, shook my hand, and he was like, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. I said, hey. He was like, hey, I need to get on your podcast. I said, I emailed you a couple of weeks ago or so. I told him, you didn't respond. He says, well, get with my people. We're gonna make it happen. So Josh, if you're listening, I'm trying to make it happen. Hopefully you can squeeze in 45 minutes.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
That sounds like a challenge to me.
Hey, I know he's got a lot of stuff coming at him. All the politicians do. I do not envy being a politician.
Absolutely not.
No.
At all.
No. But to those people that do take on the challenge, kudos to you for trying to do something, whether you're on the right side or the wrong side.
Not the wrong side.
Well, some people are on the wrong side, but they just don't know it. So no matter what side you're on, you believe that you're doing something good for your community, and kudos to you for trying to run for an office. It takes a lot of balls.
It does.
And, we appreciate the service no matter what, but we may not agree on everything.
Yep.
We'll leave it at that. Real quick before we wrap up, we got a few comments.
Uh-oh.
Somebody, Mel Haynes, said,
Mel, she's with Sweet on V LLC. Yep. Y'all go see her today.
She goes sip some tea. She says, I'll call him for you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, she can get you too.
There you go.
You need to have her on.
I know.
She'll have you laughing.
And then Brent says, Ben, you need to get Mel from Sweet on V on the podcast. There you go. It's official. Mel, I'll be reaching out.
I'll have him call
she
your
said
people.
No.
She's coming.
She's coming.
We'll get on.
All right.
If I got to come back with her, she's coming.
Sweet on V.
Sweet on V. Y'all go see her today. The best beignets in Lafayette.
There you go. She has great desserts.
Yes.
And she doesn't do just dessert. I think does she still have the salad bar and all that good stuff?
Yes, she has the salad bar. And then sometimes she'll do, or her partner Big Nick will do the barbecue burgers or the barbecue weekend kind of stuff. So they got it all at Sweet on V.
There you go. All right. Well, that is it. We're going to wrap it up. It's about to be 60 minutes.
All right.
Yeah, so you made it a little bit farther than 45.
Woo!
Woo! All right. No mess, no drama.
No mess, no drama. You kept it clean. Good, clean piping.
There you go. All right, Shyra, it was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much, Ben.
And I look forward to graduating with you.
Yes.
All right, guys, and that is it. We'll see you on the next one.